I see something is going on. I think it's going on.
Okay,
I think it's on.
I think it's good.
Hello?
I think
Happy
it's on.
Wednesday.
Hello, what's up?
How do you do?
Happy GM, G afternoon, GLT, good local time, whatever you are. You know that
Perfect.
GLT time. Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, that's good. That's good. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm getting here like my usual technical difficulties, different setup today, but like same energy. And look at us. I mean, getting gather more situated into what we're doing, and even getting our topics there. A little bit of some of the question that we're going through. I think we did publish it. I think we need to do a better job in even sharing what we'll be discussing next week. But like, yeah, we'll get in there. So give us some
hmm
grace.
Let's say for these hot topics, it's gonna be not obvious, but we are keeping the conversation informal and very casual. But definitely for the next time, we want to facilitate more of what are you thinking of and related to these topics and beyond. So don't worry, Fede, we will get there. I trust you.
Never worried. Uh, So, Raffaele, why don't you introduce us to the topic of the day?
Oh my gosh. This has been quite a heavy topic, let's say, quite a strong topic, to be honest with you. Uh, and let me run into that before. We're talking about virtual collaboration and remote work in design, which I hear you. Oh no, we're back. No, what are we talking about? Of course, we need to go back to the office. COVID is done. Yes, but we are forward thinkers, right? The main topic we decided together to share a bit of our experiences and tips on how to maintain effective collaboration and communication while working remotely as designers, because still, I think that we learn, both of us, everyone has learned something from the pandemic. And when the real work is going through, well, what are the experiences and some tips that we can share to maintain a more of an effective collaboration, even in person, right? Because like we can be very generic on the topic. We can really talk about, oh, I'm work remotely, I'm hybrid, I'm full time in an office or whatsoever. But collaboration and communication are still 100% relevant and are still, I think it's still the main number one skill to learn or to improve, because it's a progress that is never done. I'm talking specifically about communication. What do you think here, Fed?
I think that we have to relearn that skill because,
Mm.
as you said, yeah, hopefully COVID is done. Yes, we learned a lot. Yes, I will argue that many business have really benefit in like testing at least remote working, maybe not really smart working, but like remote working. Uh, but the problem is not the problem, but I guess the change of behavior is, it takes 3 weeks to build a habit, and we had almost 3 years. So now we fall into a new normal that is working remotely in front of a screen, and we're used to it. There are, I mean, a good chunks of like new workers that never work in any other way. Like all the new
Mhm.
generation that joined in the last 2 years, they just been working remote, right? There is a great chunks of people that join new companies that have started remotely at many companies. They don't even know what was the work, and you can argue that without being in person, even the ability to understand the culture of the company and even the sense of belonging, definitely in my case, it doesn't go to where it should be. So that's why I'm saying we have to relearn what it means to collaborate now that we are no longer full remote, we are no longer full in office, but we are embracing and understanding what it means to be hybrid.
Mm. And if I can, to bring the freelancer or the agency perspective, because you're talking about companies, and that is great. I think it's a relearning approach for every creative in the industry. Think about the freelancers and WeWorks and co-working space popping out of nowhere and coffee shops where you can work, but are we really co-working, or are we just working, or are we just saying, sorry, I'm in a co-work, sorry, I'm in a coffee shop, for if you hear the noise, it's fine. So the company perspective is definitely interesting because you have more than beyond just where are you working from, because it's a both. It's more like the values of the team and the company and the culture. And in a startup or in a freelancer setup, I think it's still important to relearn and rediscover these new scenarios and settlebacks that we are having.
Yeah, I think there is no difference to some extent, right? Whether you are a freelance or you work in an enterprise, yes, it's a different kind of work, but you still work with other people. There is no
Mm,
job that entails not working with anyone, right? I mean, or probably the greatest majority of like jobs. Yes, you might be more subjected, sorry, to the amount of meeting you have to do with other folks and the operativity on your own. So that's a split. But really, you need to work with other people, whether you are freelance, a consultant, you work in an enterprise, a startup, whatever, you need people. And now you need to learn how to go back and maximize those productivity when you are in the office with someone. And if
mm,
you're running any workshop session, whatever that is, versus, oh, I'm going back, I'm doing more like of my one-on-ones with people that maybe already met in person, so I can still keep it from my house or whatever, or my my co-working space, right? My cafe, it doesn't change. Of course, confidentiality is not a problem. And then, yeah, this is the combo. And what I'm figuring out is now that we've been back and sometimes I've been exposed to big meetings where we have like more than 10 people, almost like 20, right? The thing that was interesting was the number one feedback I get after those session was, oh my God, we've been so productive. We did so
mm,
much. We accomplished so much. And and I'm kind of like smiling and not laughing at them and just saying, well, it's just the way it used to be. It's the way we used to work. It's the pace that we used to have. It just we forgot about it because we've been in front of a freaking camera for the last 3 years. And now it's the new normal for you. But when we are in the same room and we can talk to each other, you can see the body language, you can see how everything goes much faster. So yeah, by the time we were like at 3 p.m., basically the meeting was done and we did everything we were supposed to do. And we're like,
mm.
wow, and we don't feel so tired. We feel more energized, and we feel like we want to go out and have a drink, right? With maybe with our colleagues or whatever, or just go back and go to the gym, whatever it's gonna be, right? But
Mm,
that to me is like really the vibe of going back. It's readapting to, oh, this is how we were used to work, and it wasn't wrong. It was working fine. It just that now we have many options, but we tend to
mm,
be a little bit, like at least in my opinion, a little bit lazy into, oh, but I don't know, do I want to commute to the office? Do I want to go and travel? Do I want to make that like an in-person meeting? My personal, and I might be very biased here, and I don't have any problem admitting that, is that
shoot.
well, human connection is like something you can't replace. We talked about AI last week, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
that's why human connection can never be replaced. So that's the demonstration for me.
Yeah, I think it's what I'm hearing here is a bit more of a challenge and how you overcome that in terms of like what are the things that you learn now coming back. And if there's something I can share on my side, I would say uh, I definitely lost a bit of interest in being in a co-working space and connecting with people because I swear, like my being completely transparent with you, I spent like the when we started the first season, I guess, yeah, it was that time when I really wanted to go in a co-working space, of course, to do the work, but to connect with people that they were doing the work too, and it was kind of a fun and good environment to check out with real people, even if they were not really my team. They were not really my folks. But that when I then come back like in a real setup, shoot out to the Portland, we worked over there, to Julia and to all the amazing girls. That was amazing. With the team that I was having to last year, it was like, oh shoot, damn, that's just like that's another thing. And of course, I'm happy. I'm trying my best, and we should all thrive in these crazy challenges and crazy moments in the industry and in the space. But I really believe and I really think that don't 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 compromise on people and on interactions because work is always gonna say people are not.
I like
Um,
that. I like that. Don't
if you,
compromise on people is a nice one.
I think at the very end, I think like that's really about it because work and jobs are going to change no matter what. But the people are going to stay if you hold them or if you care about them.
That's a nice point. So let's get into the some of the topic here and the detailed question that we identified for this topic to make it short and sweet as we wanted to. And the
Yeah.
first question that we captured was how have we adapted our design workflow and collaboration practice, I guess, to this like new hybrid way of working, more than just a remote.
Mm,
How have you done it?
like this. And this is my Opal camera, which is so, like even this little thing. You have no idea how many people said to me, "Oh, wow, that was interesting. That was cool. The fact that the camera is moving." So, I'm not saying
Hmm.
my answer to you is not saying buying expensive stuff, but try to. My design workflow has been a lot throughout, especially when meeting new people and new clients, who making sure that I'm in a safe space and I'm designing consciously and understanding consciously. So in terms of practical design, I just tend to be on a bubble and do my thing. But before, I really like to, remotely speaking, try my best to be present and be committed and staying there. Whether are noises or camera things or just like making details matter. And I want just to close up saying one of my favorite quotes, another one, which is how you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm.
And it's really like, yeah, it's I don't want to bring the perfectionism kind of topic here, but remote work or hybrid work or whatever it is, to build trust you need to show up, and to show up you need to put attention on it. And how you do anything is literally how you do everything. And what about you, Fede? How you've adapted your workflow, or how you facilitate conversations, or how you make sure that you were healthy and productive at the same time?
Well, my mind goes to the fact that as we were getting out of pandemic and the offices were reopening, I made a conscious choice of having myself and even then my team to go and meet a lot of people in person. So whenever we got the opportunity to go to the office and gather, then we're trying to maximize that opportunity. And at least for the first time, you want to make sure that one, people are enjoying the feeling and the vibe of being in an office. Because you might have remote worker, as in people that they won't go to the office, right? They will work from their house or whatever all the time, but they still need to have that sense of belonging. So whenever they can come to the office, it's something they need to feel. They need to feel welcome, and as they're part of the journey, even though they're remote, right? More by definition, by their choice. And then for the folks that are based in other office location, you want to show them whether you are in a headquarter, like I don't know, in Menlo Park, or I'm visiting in Austin or New York, whatever. You want to go there and understand the vibe of the office, right? Because every office has its own vibe. So that is one thing that you want to build right now. Like it's basically making sure that you create that space, and even if
Mm.
it's just a walkthrough of the office, right? Or I don't know, in some office like ours at Meta, you can do scavenger hunts because it's pretty big, like it's a big campus. So you can take a bike and go around. So I don't know, find different restaurants, but there are different ways that you can do to again facilitate and foster the culture and build that sense of belonging. And I think it's very important, and also meeting the people that are in that location. So the conscious again choice whenever making a sort of an offsite or a meeting was not only gathered to do that meeting with the X amount of stakeholders, but was, hey, you folks from the engineering, hey, you folks from the design, hey, folks from the business, folks from anywhere that are around in the office. Why don't you come and we have a little jam session? That's how we call it, and get to know together, get to know each other. Because at that point, even if you just meet once, you already build I guess, it's a step towards the layer of trust that you want to build.
Mm.
So I think this is very important. This is something we didn't used to do because it was more normal to travel. We didn't have remote worker that like really that many. So you need to bring down those walls of like the digital walls, right? And whenever there's an opportunity to meet, I can tell you, I do believe that even if you meet with one person just once in real life, and you see that the fully rendered version. I'm stealing this one from Grace
It's the
Ling, yeah, the
later.
founder of Design Buddies, a great design communities, by the way. FYI, if you guys haven't never heard, check it out, Design Buddies. But yeah, when you see the fully rendered version of a person, it's different. You're gonna interact with a person, I will argue, always better, right? So this is one big thing.
Mm,
And then more on the logistic part is we are trying to move into a way where we are being very intentional in when we go to the office and we have a proper gathering. It's probably because we run a big design, maybe design thinking session. We need to have all those heads in there. So no longer the people that are mostly in the office, but we let people travel. So it tends to be like a pretty big deal, right? You have like a really a business rationale to be there. It might be even more than 10, 12 folks that you want to gather. So you really have a lot of things that you want to do. And the intriguing part is, despite we are trying to push the in-person, for the reason I was
mm,
explaining to you before,
mm.
now we need to plan for hybrid all the time because we know that no matter what, even if it's going to be a mostly in-person meeting, three, four, five people will be virtual. And you need to make sure that you respect the diversity in the room. You need the people on digital, like connecting with the VC, to be able to understand and follow the pace. You need to let them have a way to speak and interact. So right now, designing those sessions is considerably different because yes, mostly
Mm,
the main pace of the room and the main decision makers will be in the room, but you need to give the time and the space
yeah.
to everyone, whether they're remote or not. So these to me are the two biggest changes.
Wow, what a challenge, Fede. I can share with you something, but let me just point out that this is probably a big, big challenge I can see. Like, imagine I'm remotely and there's a big meeting. I'm online and you guys are all in the meeting room and I can feel literally the fatigue of like okay, how my decisions are going to be interpreted since I'm remote, I'm not there. If I want to raise my hand, I will be so noisy that I will maybe jump into a conversation. And those are just topics on top of my mind to say. I would say it's at least scary. So yeah, it's a design experience by itself to design a cohesive and coherent and strong community inside meetings. Because if you accept them, okay, but how are we making sure that those meetings are properly done right? Because you can, of course, you can have hybrid model, no matter we share the meet, but are we sure that the people they really want to be in the meet while others are in live? And yeah, that's a really good one, I think. Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. Okay,
No,
let's
of
get to
course.
question number two that we got here. What challenges have you
Yeah, I
faced
mean,
when
yeah.
working? Yeah, we kind of mentioned that,
Yeah,
like,
you
yeah,
you
what
you
challenges?
you you mix the two and three and four together, I guess. Talking about challenge. No, but that's great. I mean, those are topics like in terms of prompt questions, but your answer was great. So I can talk a bit more about. I can literally share an experience of challenges when working remotely as a designer. I would
Mhm.
say something that I realized is that it really depends about the culture of the team or the culture of the company you're working for. If it's a really because it's a buzzword to say, oh, we are remote first. That's interesting. Like it's something to understand and to realize that uh, if you come from the COVID perspective, everyone needed to work remotely. But after that, one of the challenge I faced is really like, okay, so I can work remotely. It's fine. It's the box is ticked because I'm based in Portugal, but I work with US clients with time zones and things. But and I'm building my own stuff. So that's another thing. So the challenge here is really like, are we sure that the company or the people that are working with are really remote first? And I mean, messages, Slacks, communication, meetings, having meetings with an agenda. So that for me means being remote first and not like, okay, yeah, you can work whatever. It's a bit different. It's a bit different. So this is one of the challenges that I faced that I realized, okay, cool. So I need to really understand. what's really the culture? What is valuable really in the interactions?
Yeah, I think it doesn't fit in the culture, it doesn't fly, right? If it doesn't become the culture, then it's not gonna fly. Just
Mm,
I think I wrote an article. It was like 1 year ago, probably even more, maybe two. Like, are you smart working or dumb working, right?
2 years ago, I guess it was
Yeah, it was
during
a long
COVID.
time
Yeah,
ago. Yeah, and there was some
yeah,
interesting data already. But that's the point. Like a lot of people are just like mistaking the logistics for
uh-huh.
what is culture, right? And culture is not logistics. Uh,
Right.
Once you got the culture, it also gets reflected into the logistics. That's the power of culture, and that's why we are people first. Because once you got
Mm,
that, then you can say that you've been embracing being. And again, I don't even want to use the word remote first anymore. I mean, many companies they do it now. I mean, it was fancy to get more people and hire more people. I think it's really an hybrid mentality right now. It's going to be like that, especially for bigger companies. But that is the point. Like you want to make sure that you go and you are smart working and you are embracing hybrid and that everything works. You cannot just pretend that people are having the same dynamics, having the same implication, having the same obligation when they are working from their house because it's not. Otherwise, we're just forcing folks to stay, I don't know, 15 hours in front of a screen. That did happen with COVID at the beginning. And so, look, the way I see it right now, and I've been telling this to multiple people, is everything is like a pendulum, right? Even in history, it goes back and forth, back and forth. It doesn't take a genius to see it. Like, and we were in a situation where that pendulum was going up all the way to remote, right? We didn't have any
hmm
choice. It was a pandemic, and everyone was, I have to work from home or somewhere else. Like, I can't come to the office, and everyone was remote, remote, remote. Even the people that didn't really like it. So no choice. It kind of worked. Company were excited, and everyone was, oh, we can be even more productive. We don't need to go to the office. We don't need to commute anymore. Nothing. Now,
Mm,
while the pendulum goes up and everyone is doing that, I think it was a little premature, to jump on the band. It wasn't even a bandwagon, right? It was just, it was a situation that wasn't supposed to be like that forever. It lasted almost 2 years, and it was way more than people expected. But now the
mm,
way I see it is that the pendulum is going back. And that probably means that maybe people will over-index back to the office. But as always, our Latin friends used to say, "In media stat virtus," right? So the truth is always in the middle, and the
yeah.
balance is in the middle. So it means that the pendulum, when it stops swinging, it stays still in the middle, right? And
Mm,
that means that we will need to find that balance into the hybrid. But if you don't embrace that balance, it's never going to fly. That's the way I see it.
mm. And you maybe you don't want and you don't have to take for granted the 2 years before, since you will start talking about people that have never been in office. Yeah, that's I come from a very um, I come from a mindful place saying, I hear you, I
Mhm.
feel you, but things have needs to change, and because we you have to adapt that, and we have to realize that this is not the normality in a way. Um, there's something interesting that is on top of my mind right now is to like really making sure that like of course the office is the representation of the work because you go there for working, but you really want to create a safe space too, and you really want to create some sort of belonging and connections, and it's something that I've been working on toward the last couple of months. Shout out to Joel. We're building I told you something, but we're building a tech hub in Lisbon. It is more than a co-working space. So why I'm pointing you this out is that people that they really want to connect and they really want to do their best work, and that's what I see co-working spaces right now. It's not a place for getting your Wi-Fi and whatever. It's really try to, no matter what, being fully present in a space that you feel like home with the remote setup kind of, but it's not home because you go there for work because you want to work there. So that's something that I've been thinking of, and you know that you know me if you remember the first season or when we started to chat. I was everywhere, all over the place in coffee shops and whatsoever, and I love that. But then you really need to. Um, I love the office too. So maybe it's me that I'm wrong, or maybe I'm just working towards direction. I love being a person that show up in the office, that get things done in the office, that get people that gather folks around a whiteboard to do things. And we shouldn't be scared of that. Not for the time of commute, not for uh, whatsoever. That's how we build meaningful relationships, I guess, or at least it's easier. Um, so yeah, that's something I want to add
It,
on
it
the
does
topic
pay.
of what
I
I
believe
want.
it does pay the dividends, right? It pays the fact
Mm,
that when you're building this human connection and they're stronger than the video connection that you can possibly ever be, they always pay the dividends in the long run, right? Whether it's I don't know, getting closer with your manager or some people, like it's the human being, right? You can't deny that by having a stronger connection in person, you you will get some natural advantages out of that. Because we can talk about like removing bias and everything, even for promotion, whatever. But the fact that you're close to the action, the fact you're closer to the people that matters, the fact that people can feel that trust in you, I don't think is anything unfair. It's the fact of knowing that this is famous like trust equation that you build, and intimacy is a part of that. Is one of the elements of the trust equation. I argue that intimacy is not even an element that you add to the equation. It's almost a multiplier, because the moment you get intimate with someone,
mm,
the trust, it's built much faster. And I always say, to me again, that's why working and building those relationships is really similar to dating, right? How difficult it is to have like a long distance relationship with folks. I don't know if you ever
yeah.
tried in your life. At some point, maybe everyone has tried. I wonder how many people succeeded in having long distance relationship. It's hard. Now we're talking about romance and all the stuff. I know it's different context, but to some extent, I do believe it's similar. It's much
Mm,
and for the sake of being provocative, yeah. I mean, we say that long distance relationship don't work, or at least it's harder to make it work. I think it's similar even with in this new hybrid relationship, right? If you can go and stay closer to the action, or somehow it doesn't mean that you have to be physically close, but if you can also get closer in person physically, I think it's just better. So I'm not like saying that remote work is wrong. I think it's really helpful. I think that everyone should be able to make that choice. I think it should be a balance, but I think we're still learning, everyone, companies, individuals, what is the right
mm,
balance? Is there a nice,
mm.
is there a ratio? There is not. Like every company will work differently, right? Even depending on like what you do. So that's the magic cocktail that we're figuring out together, and we haven't. And probably it's gonna take like a few years.
Thank you for that. No, it's interesting because yeah, I tried distance relationship and yes, it sucked. So I can relate with that. I can relate with that.
It's just
But
that.
no, it's just that it's true. It's true. I wanted, but by the way, I wanted to add something very quickly here. That is, I was having a similar conversation with a friend of mine here, and we were talking about having a toxic environment when working remotely and how remote is not gonna help toxicity in a workplace. And that's interesting. And my genuine, I'm curious to hear what you think here, but the first thought that passed through my mind was something like, this is not gonna do anything with remote work. It's gonna do with the work itself. So you need to change your work, or you need to do something different in a way that because the question was really related to to a toxic environment, to micromanaging, to all those crazy things related to work. And I'm like, maybe it's not it the point is not remote work or being in live. It's really figuring out if that's the right thing. I don't want to shift the conversation to another topic here, but what I wanted to add here is just like, those are tools and those are weapons that we have to know as designers or as a remote worker in this world. But definitely it's not a like it's not the magic pill for everything, or it's not like, oh, or is the magic excuse for everything. That's the thing. In terms of like, oh, it's not working because of remote or such.
Oh,
What do you
I
think here?
agree. I agree. It's not the cause and it's not the remedy. It's neither of
Mm-hmm.
those. It's a toxic environment or a toxic person remains a toxic environment and a toxic person unless we do something to change it. Yes, there might be scenarios in which some aspects of the toxicity get highlighted, and what I'm thinking, if someone is a micromanager, the fact that they cannot control you or see you like in the office every day, it's probably going to highlight that. yes, but there are still countermeasures for those people that will work no matter what, right? It doesn't matter if it's remote or not. So yeah, I wouldn't blame like the hybrid remote work situation. Like I wouldn't point at it as a solution. It's always, again, it's a matter of people, and it's a problem that we need to face and solve together. So yeah, it's an interesting point of view, though. Okay, I can see some scenario being a little bit exacerbated by being or not being remote. So either way,
Nice. Yeah.
very cool.
Mm.
What do we got here? So I think we talk about like tools and
Thank you,
techniques.
Fede.
We got it. That we found more effective for remote design collaboration. Uh, I think we definitely talk about how to maintain a strong design culture, and I would say culture in general, and team cohesion while working remotely. We discuss it like extensively. Is there anything else, Rafa, that you want to discuss related to
Tools
maybe
and techniques.
techniques? Anything in that space?
Uh, for remote design. I have one. I have one, and it's very. Okay. It's a very like a hot take that I have here is that don't trust blindly Figma templates or Figma stuff.
With
La,
Figma.
no, no, no. I mean, I love Figma. Dylan, you're great, dude. I love Figma. But the world is not just like copy pasting a template or just like, oh yeah, we need more user research. Cool, boom, copy paste. That's the user research. We need more like so the technique here is really like and the same with notes, like taking notes during a meeting or sending your manager like the weekly I used to send the state of rough which is coming. I stole this idea from Lenny's from the newsletter that he steal them from Airbnb. And basically, I used to send my manager three things: what I'm working on, what are my blockers, and what's on top of my mind.
Mhm.
And that thing, just that email every week, facilitate the conversation. So my techniques are really like reducing the noise, communicate less, and communicate better in terms of that. So don't just copy paste stuff that you find online. Talking to designers in general. So try to understand what is the place that you are jumping in, what is the shoes that you are filling in before promoting something new or adding something new, and uh, yeah, communicate better and less but better.
Yeah. I would also challenge that probably applies either way, right? Applies even if you were in a in-person environment.
Yeah.
It just
Let me.
becomes more important when digital becomes the way of connecting, right? Instead of chatting more because it's more informal. But yeah, no, I can see why it's particularly important in remote situation.
Yeah. Great, dude. It's been a pleasure. Let's make sure next time that we add the questions a bit before, so we can even gather questions from the folks that are following.
Yeah. And the topic out. We'll probably try to publish it by the weekend, even if it's not the best time to publish, especially on LinkedIn, but maybe on Monday. And then it's gonna be there. Like we're building the habit, right? That's been 3 weeks now, 2 weeks. Well, we
Shit,
did
that's
it.
been great.
This is
Don't
like
worry
week
about
three,
that.
so we're building the habit. It's gonna be
It's
good.
the I know that most of the folks out there are probably already read that, but there is Atomic Habits by James Clear, which is a great book, and it's basically all about making sure that your actions consistently. That's a lot in that book, but we're getting there. We're going there. Just building actions throughout our what we care about, and I'm so happy and grateful to having you here around again.
Pleasure is all mine. Good. Then let's call it a day.
Let's
Happy
wrap it up.
Wednesday. Happy week, everyone. And
Happy remote work, whatever you are, whatever you're following us. Let's make it count, no matter where you are. And if you're in person, let's make it count per two. But still, let's make sure the remote work is effective here.
yes, it will. It's not gonna go anywhere. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Take care.
Ciao, Raf.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.